Oh boy, Angelecki with White Forest, we get to see, oh my gosh, spaceships and Crystrons, and we're taking another crack back at Alistair and Shaddolls. Sure, you guys smash the link crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. You mean to tell me that my White Forest strategy has consistency with another synchro deck? Oh my gosh, surprise Pikachu face. I can't believe it. No, this is actually pretty freaking awesome. That's why I wanted to talk about this list today, because this really caught my attention. Because when you look at the way that the White Forest deck has been kind of raised up by the community, you tend to look at this deck and you're like, oh, hey, like, it's pretty BS with the things that you get to do. Obviously the White Forest stuff is a little bit more confined, but obviously, we can make level 8 synchros. I mean, crap, man. They're not, Diabell, in fact, is a generic piece for you to walk into, but, what if we just bridge on into Collection Old Gainer while going down the standard White Forest opening? And what if we go even further here? What if we can E4, set up a bunch of floodgate stuff, and be able to, kind of detrimentally punish the opponent that way? That is really, really cool. And it does give you some other topics of conversation just for you to kind of bridge on into for the deck building space. Obviously, one, which of the White Forest I think is fine, because you're going to have Angelecki problem probably being your established piece 99% of the time. And also, this thing gives you a free discard outlet to get the bad cards out of your hand while cycling. That is wonderful. That's one of the things that this deck needed. You needed to be able to patch up, some of the resource management generation, and I think you're able to do that just fine. Obviously, side deck here is just fine in terms of your setup, but I think Angelecki gives a lot of decks a new lease on their deck building space, and I do look forward to kind of seeing how people are going to continue to explore this, because this is phenomenal. Next up, I'm sorry, what are we doing here? So this was a Crystron list that popped up playing Gray Layer. So contribute this card and reveal a machine monster in your hand. Add a machine monster from your deck to your hand with a different attribute than the revealed monster. And if you do, add a 1200 or less attack, and if you add a 1200 or less attack, special summon one machine from your hand. Okay, so we also get Boss on Parade. This card's activated. Add a BS monster from your deck to your hand, so we can actually search for this, or, we can search for Metal Slave. Send up to 5 level 10 or lower BS monsters with different names from your hand or deck to graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand, then place that many counters on this card equal to number sent. This is just a giant 3100 that just gives you, more access to be able to beam on through things. Then, of course, there's the idea of the Crystron cards kind of bridge together the rest of the way that this deck kind of wants to play. Which, you know what? I will say, the Gray Layer being able to pivot into, any of these other big pieces, obviously, this also, during your main phase, destroy a monster in your hand or field, special summon a level 1 light machine, or summon a light machine with 1200 attack or defense to either field. So the fact that we contribute this card and reveal, so this, just getting into the Metal Parade ensures we get access to the Gray Layer, but also, ensures that, the BES and the bigger piece here all kind of comes together. That is very innovative, honestly. I hadn't really thought about testing out ideas like this to be able to just bridge through all sorts of other insane ideas. But yeah, welcome to Crystron, man. I'm glad to see that this deck has a new lease on things, because it honestly needs it. Next up, that's right, Alistair, the OG Invoker, is back. How much of the new stuff, though, do we have to bring in for Alistair? Well, not a lot, honestly. So a couple of interesting little discussion points here for Alistair. There is obviously the confliction of this card that could cause some problems. The fact that obviously you're going to be stuck on only being able to do Shaddoll stuff, which is fine. Obviously, Invocation does give you free access into any of the Shaddoll mods. Because remember, We can fusion summon a fusion monster from extra deck using monster from hand or material. But if you're summoning an invoked fusion monster, we can also banish from the hand or graveyard. Alistair still is a dark monster. As long as we find a dark Shaddoll somewhere along the way, we can still bridge into dear old Winda, and we're still able to do the thing. Now, depending on how things go, we can also stop by this card, because Okeanos ends up being a reverse target for Alistair to be able to do, because remember, it's an Alistair plus a dark monster to get the Macrocosmo up and running. So if we don't open up, a way to see Love Shaddoll, we could just naturally bridge this into this, and then kind of pivot on through, your play lines that way. That's very important to me. I like that we have different decision making. It's also not playing the void side of the pack. Well, there's no void in here for you to send off of this. I feel like that's a bit of a hindrance with this list is, we have the void unleashings, but, I guess we're just dropping down said generic card and kind of going. But this build is very techy, and I actually appreciate what they're trying to do with this. Next up, we get to see, oh boy, more of the Elf Note strategy. But this is what we're talking about when we've been looking at these Angelecki lists. We're seeing more players trying to explore the best possible inclusions that you can build in. Now, unlike the other previous list I've seen, this list is dedicating only 5 slots to the Angelecki side of things, which I think is fine, right? The Angelecki side of this is fine. It just means that we now have 10 cards to fuel the basic strategy line for this. I also see that we are playing the Ultimaya Tzolk'in in here. Now, we've seen Tzolk'in pop up a couple of times on the discussion train just to be an incredibly powerful card. Because, let's call it what it is. Tzolk'in just gets you free access into whatever, big synchro dragon that you're going to want to throw at your opponent. I wonder who we could be using to cheat this out with. I never would have guessed that this card gets to just do some really funny things. Well, there you guys go. But obviously, opening the E4 deploys up the limiting effects to be able to paralyze the opponent, which is fine. But, the rest of the Elf Note strategy is just synchro, develop big body, and then tell your opponent to figure out the synchro problem. You're also going to notice we have Lava Golem down here. We've been seeing Lava Golem pop up, I would say, a decent amount now, because Lava Golem's job is just to be able to, crush the opponent and make sure that, your deck actually can get a chance to play the game. Oh no, I lose access to a decent normal summon off of this, but the reality of the situation is I don't really give a crap about that as long as, my deck gets the chance to, do its thing. I've done my part. That's good enough for me. But outside of that, they're very, very interesting list. And then our last list is, so we've gutted out the Angelecki cards, and we said, we're going to play pure Elf Note. I see we have one of my oh-so-favorite modern era Yu-Gi-Oh cards built into this. So yes, we are playing Secret Village of the Spellcasters in this deck, making it so that, your opponent's not going to play the game. We do live in an era, I'm not going to discount this, we live in an era where more spellcasters are kind of popping up in the format, We're not in a dead end-all, be-all, spellcaster drought. No. It's just, this card has become even more predominantly problematic as you go. That's why you have 2 more of these in the frickin' side deck, just to be able to blow your opponent out. Now, obviously, I do see we have the Fallen and the Virtuous. It's also really funny, in regards to, this. If your opponent does do the crackback and have a Fallen of the White to beam on into this, your Secret Village just, gets literally cracked out of existence. So that's interesting. We're also side decking 2 Crowns, which I think is fine. In terms of, we're only doing 2 Terminus. Ooh. I guess maybe Terminus just, he played as a 2 of, some of the time, but not all of the time. It's a real mentality, by the way, that Yu-Gi-Oh players do have, You want this card to definitely be something that dictates some things, but not really a lot. But I think there is something to be said about this list. Secret Village is just another ignorant Yu-Gi-Oh card at the end of the day. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here and dig.
Patrons!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.